Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, December 15th, 2016, and this is your fun fact of the day. American famed astronaut, solar explorer, and politician John Glenn grew up in the small town of New Concord, Ohio. Graduated his local high school in 1939. Went to a local college, actually. Didn't go to a big university. He joined the war effort in World War II in 1942 by joining the Naval Aviation Cadet Program because the U.S. Air Force wasn't actually its own branch yet, so he was a Navy pilot instead. The following year, he completed his studies and deployed to the Pacific for World War II. He flew 59 missions in the Pacific. Post-World War II, he stayed in the military and ended up serving in the Korean conflict as well, working with both the Marines and the Air Force at this time. He's flying approximately 90 missions, and this passion for flying and just enjoyment of it, or I suppose hobby, even pastime of it, stuck with him even after the service when he enrolled in a different academy for more scientific advancements, and he would eventually break the then flight record in flight time from west coast of the US to the east coast, from LA to Maryland, which he completed in 3 hours and 23 minutes. Remember, this was the 50s. That's fast. In 1959, Glenn looked even higher as far as missions and goals when he was chosen for the US space program. He and 6 others, including Gus Grissom and Alan Shepard, went through rigorous training that became known as Mercury 7 at that time. This is back when the US was locked in the heated race with the Soviet Union, the space race as it were, the first to actually just get to outer space, which, as we covered last week, the Soviets did win the first to get to outer space, but John Glenn, when he eventually made it to outer space, one-upped Yuri Gagarin's solo orbit around the Earth. On February 20th, 1962, John Glenn launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida, in the Friendship 7 spacecraft. He went up and orbited the Earth 3 times before returning nearly 5 hours later. After this groundbreaking mission, Glenn became an American hero. He was feted with parades and received numerous accolades for this accomplishment. President Kennedy even gave him the NASA Distinguished Service Medal. That, however, was not the end of his career, because after this space and his exit from the space program, John Glenn went on to attempt to make Congress and become a senator from Ohio, which he did. After 4 failed attempts, he was elected to the U.S. Senate. He was outspoken on many issues during his time in office, for which he campaigned for more funding for outer space explorations, of course, as well as increased science and education about the topic as well. And in 1984, he even made a bid for the Democratic presidential nomination. So this is a man who was well accomplished, flying in multiple wars or military conflicts, doing missions for multiple armed services, multiple branches of the U.S. Armed Services, and going to outer space and being one of the few to orbit the Earth, the few at the time. It's still a very small number, and he was the second one to ever do it, so extremely noteworthy. John Glenn, American folk hero. Hope you've enjoyed this fun fact of the day. See you tomorrow.